Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. Today I am super excited to come to you to share with you how to gain control over the table to ensure that you have a smooth closing, that the borrowers are comfortable, and that you're out of there as fast as possible. So of course, if the loan terms are incorrect, you have to adjourn the closing. However, there are some tactics that I've learned that ensure that I do the best job that I possibly can do while still having control over the table. All right, so in the very beginning, you're going to swear them in. While they're signing my journal, I am bleach wiping pens. And so of course, I'm picking the color that the lender requires. And I'm doing this in front of the borrowers. Number one, to ensure that they're comfortable. I'm doing all that I can do to ensure that they are protected during this pandemic. I'm also wearing a mask. But the other reason I'm doing this is because I want them to get up from the table as least as possible. If they're up from the table looking for pens, then that takes up more time, okay? So I supply the pens, I bleach wipe them off, and then we move on to the next item. The very next item that I show them, before I show them a closing disclosure, before I show them any of the documents that they need to sign, I show them my cheat sheet. I show them this document here. And so I'm going to walk you through exactly what I say to the borrowers. On the documents, your name is Susie J. Sample. So I need you to sign just as that to include your middle initial. If it asks for your initials, it's SJS. Today's date is April 30th, 2021. I do need 4 numbers for the year. And when you write the date, just be neat, because if you can't make it out, then they will send it back to get re-signed. And I say this because I want them to know there's a possibility if you don't do what this paper says, if you don't do it, it could possibly get rejected. And you can't blame your notary because your notary told you. I'm also letting them know that I need 4 numbers for the year. Now, there's one company that I work a lot with, and on their notary instructions, it states that they need 4 numbers for the year. So I just do that for every company now, just to ensure that I'm doing what everybody wants me to do. So I asked for 4 numbers for the year. Oh, I almost forgot. All right, so as for this little cheat sheet, last month, I had a closing with a settlement agent. So when I called to confirm the appointment, he said, "Oh, I do this for a living. You won't really have to do anything. I know all of the documents." And I said, "Okay, all right, fine." So I get to his house. I treat him as if he's everybody else. I swear him in, get him to sign my journal, and then I show him this cheat sheet. And so when I'm done, he was like, "Wow, I've never seen that. Do you mind if when you're done, I keep this sheet? Because I kind of want to use it for my own closings." What? I was absolutely blown away. Like, he told me he does like 50 closings a month. He has his own closing company. So for the simple fact that he wants to do anything that I'm doing, I was just flattered. And then in the end, he asked if I would apply for his closing company. You know, my heart was fluttering and I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. I was absolutely flattered. But anyway. All right, so I show them this. I leave this on the table for them. Therefore, they see the date, they see how their names are supposed to be signed, and there's no confusion. They probably signed their name 50 times, probably dated just as many. Well, they'll forget 25 of those times. So this is there for them to always remember what the date is, and they use that as a reference. I keep it there in their eyesight so they can see. So the next few documents I show, I've already gone over in one of my videos, but I will put it in the description down below if you happen to miss it. The next 6 documents that I show the closing disclosure. Right after I show this, I'm on to the documents that need to be signed. So I show the closing disclosure. The closing disclosure is going to share with them the interest rate. It's going to share with them how much the loan is for, whether they owe money or whether they're getting back money. It's really going to show the meat and potatoes of this entire closing. So if the numbers are wrong in the closing disclosure, then the whole thing probably has to be adjourned. Okay, so that's the reason why I show the closing disclosure early on, because it saves time. If it's in the middle of the packet and we're halfway through the closing and then we find the numbers aren't right, then I've just wasted all that time. So I show that first, and then after that I show the settlement statement. That reiterates what the closing disclosure is saying. The very next document I show is the note. The note is going to tell them how much the loan is for. It's going to tell them their interest rate. It's going to tell them how much their monthly payments are. And it's also going to share with them when their first payment is due. So all of these are key pieces. These are questions that every single borrower has. And so I show them the note third to ensure that they understand the terms. After that, I show the right to cancel. I show that so that if they are uneasy about the transaction, then they understand they have 3 business days to cancel. After that, I show the deed of trust. We need to make sure that the deed is vested in the correct name, and that's really the primary piece that I show them on the deed of trust. And the last document that I show them is the first payment letter. And that tells them how much is coming out for principal and interest, how much is coming out for property taxes, insurance and things of that nature. And again, it reiterates when their first payment is due. And so those are the 6 documents that I show first. And then we move on to all the other documents in the packet. Then there are several documents that I hold to the very end. And I have very good reasons why I hold them to the end. So the documents that I hold to the end is the Patriot Act form. Everyone's familiar with that wants their identification information. There's a similar document that's like it's an ID form. It's very similar, but it looks less formal than the Patriot Act. And then there's a residence form that they have to fill out. At the very top, they're filling it out. The middle, it talks about the last 10-year residence that they've lived in. And then the bottom shows the last 10 employers that they've had. That's usually a 2-page document, and they have to fill that out from beginning to end. And then the other document that I show last is the disbursement form document. It talks about how they want their money if they're expecting monies back. And the reason I do this, I've already told you, I want you to get up from the table as least as possible. So I show that disbursement form because oftentimes borrowers want their monies wired to them. Well, of course, if it has to be wired, then I need a voided check oftentimes. So what do? They have to go up, get up, and go find a voided check. So I'd rather them do that at the end than do that in the middle, at the beginning, whatever. While they're filling out that disbursement document, and while they're filling out that residence form is rather long. It takes a good bit of time. While they're filling that out, I am filling out the Patriot Act form, and I'm filling out that identification form. Therefore, it's not wasted time. I'm doing something while you're doing something. So oftentimes they have to get up and get the voided check. Okay, while you're getting the voided check, I'm filling out the Patriot Act form. While you're filling out the residence form, I'm filling out the identification form. And then at the very, very end, when all of that is done and over with, I say, now I'm going to take a few moments to review the packet to ensure that I haven't missed anything and to ensure that I am, that there's nothing in this packet that would get rejected. So I do just that. I flip the packet over and I look at it one by one. I ensure that the dates are correct, ensure that the initials are correct, ensure that I'm not missing anything. And so oftentimes the borrowers really appreciate that because this is probably already long enough process for them. The last thing they want to do is have to see me again. If they can avoid it, then sure. But they don't want to have to prolong this process if they can avoid it. All right, so I go through the entire packet. Boom, no errors, no issues. I'm done. So that's what I do to ensure that the entire process is smooth, that I control it. I'm setting the stage, like I said. I'm ensuring that they understand that I'm the notary, that I understand what the lenders want, what the title company wants, and that this is going to be done correctly. It's kind of giving them confidence in me, so to speak. All right, so that's what I do. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. Please share with other notaries if you feel like this video and any of my other videos could be of assistance to them. I look forward to talking to you all. Thanks. Bye.